Congressman Marc Veasey of Fort Worth, thank you so much. I know you have spoken out and condemned the Hamas terror attacks against Israel. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was shocked when I woke up Saturday and saw the news that Hamas terrorists had invaded Israel and had killed innocent women and children and families. And I spoke out against it immediately. It's not going to help the situation in the Middle East whatsoever by them doing this. My personal opinion is that they were proxies of Iran, and I'm going to be very supportive of Israel in anything that they want to do in order to stop Hamas and be able to restore peace to the region.
I do want to ask you more about that, but I know earlier this week your representatives were in Dallas and Fort Worth, representatives of your office at community events to show support for Israel and to condemn the Hamas attacks. Why was it important for you to send your representatives there?
I thought it was important for me to send my representatives to both of those synagogues in Fort Worth and Dallas to show a support of unity, of condemnation of what happened, and to show that we are going to be with Israel throughout the duration of this, however long it takes. I know that in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in both cities, that there are many people that have families that are in Israel, people with dual citizenship, people whose families have that were born here in America, but their families have decided that they are now going to be Israeli citizens and have signed up in the military, for instance, and that the ties to the Jewish community in Dallas-Fort Worth, Israel, are very strong, and that it's a very serious bond and connection. And it was important for me to show the community that we stand in solidarity with Israel and we stand against, again, the atrocities that were committed by these Hamas terrorists, to let them know that's never okay in unequivocal terms.
And I wanted to ask you because you said that Israel has the right to defend itself, and Israel itself has warned that this could be a very long process, a long war against Hamas. And there are those who've expressed concerns that U.S. support, there'll be more pressure on Israel to stop. And I'm wondering what you think about that.
I don't think there's going to be any pressure on Israel to stop. In my personal opinion, an air campaign alone is not going to bring down Hamas. Hamas has definitely crossed the line, and in my opinion, they need to be completely eliminated. And so, in order to do that, I think that I think that Israel is going to have to go in to Gaza, and they're going to have to clear out Hamas. That's the only way that it's going to be done. The organization needs to be taken down from the top all the way down to the bottom. It is my hope that then the Palestinians can have the type of leadership that will actually use humanitarian aid that's sent to Gaza for medical supplies, for food, for clothing, for shelter. That those funds will actually be used for those types of things and not to wage war against Israel. And I believe that Palestinians were caught completely off guard by what Hamas did, and that they want this humanitarian aid that's been being sent to them over the years, and in the future, when Israel again cleans out Hamas, that those monies are used again for things like humanitarian needs and not to dig tunnels. And so I absolutely support Israel. It is going to be a long campaign. You can't go into any sort of ground situation and have it be resolved quickly. It is going to take a long time, and I ask the American public to have patience with both Israel and the United States in helping Israel, because again, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be costly, but in order to maintain peace in the Middle East, it's necessary.
Has Hamas used its Palestinian people as human shields?
Oh, there's no question that they consider using humans, that they consider using schools and hospitals and other and other things like that as human shields. They've done it repeatedly. They consider it a form of asymmetrical warfare, and we can expect for them to continue to do that throughout this campaign. There's just no question about it. I mean, we already saw how they basically went into Israel on Saturday and targeted women and children first. These people have absolutely no sort of moral backbone about anything that they do. There's no sort of mores that they won't cross. They are absolutely going to use people and again, hospitals and schools and housing as shields because they know that they can get a lot of publicity that way. And Israel is going to have to try to figure out how to deal with that as best possible. But yes, absolutely, they're going to use humans and other inventories that are non-human, but they know they're strategic as shields.
And do you believe, I mean, before you said that Hamas has not used humanitarian aid to help Palestinians. What does it actually use that humanitarian aid for? And if Israel is able to eradicate Hamas, what impact will that have on the Palestinians who live in Gaza?
Yeah, the only way that Hamas could have accumulated the number of missiles that they did, this intricate tunnel system where they're probably hiding many of the hostages and the missing from Saturday, is that they have been using a lot of the humanitarian resources, towards particularly building tunnels. And when you think about the conditions in Gaza, people have oftentimes blamed Israel for that, but if the real culprits in that are Hamas. A lot of the conditions that we've heard about in Gaza, it's because again the humanitarian aid has not reached the people, and as more and more intelligence is gathered, I'm very confident that is going to be the case because there's just absolutely no way when you look at the training, when you look at the hang gliders. When you look at the number of missiles that were launched, they had to be using the money, particularly the money that was sent from the Qataris, towards weapons of mass destruction and for planning this attack. It was not just some sort of average attack that the Israelis were able to beat back. From reports that I've heard, this organization that came in, these Hamas terrorists, that they were very well trained fighters, that they were not easily pushed over, that it was clear that they had had another level of training and that a lot of money, a lot of resources and time went into these efforts.
And I wanted to ask you about a CBS News report that came out just a short time ago that the U.S. has reached, quote, a quiet understanding with Qatar not to release any of the $6 billion in Iranian oil revenues that were unfrozen as part of the prisoner swap last month. CBS says that the Deputy Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo informed House Democrats of this morning. Is that true? And what's your reaction?
That my understanding is that is definitely true. That is an agreement that both the U.S. and Qataris have reached to not release that $6 billion. I know that there have been bipartisan calls for that money to not be released, and it makes sense. If you go all the way back to the Marine barrack bombing in Lebanon in 1983, Iran's fingers through Hezbollah and through other surrogates are always right in the middle of any sort of terrorist activities that happen around Israel and around that particular, again, part of the Middle East. And so giving them $6 billion right now, particularly in light, again, what happened on Saturday, I think would not be very smart. I also think that when you consider about a lot of the protests that are happening right now in Iran, previous to, again, what happened on Saturday, the Iranian people more and more every day, every weekend, are standing up to the theocracy there, saying that enough is enough. And you don't want to give them $6 billion. It would be very it would probably be very dispiriting to a lot of the Iranians that risk their lives and risk their families in order to protest against the theocracy there. And I just don't think that, for a lot of different reasons, at the time it is right to release that $6 billion. And so I applaud the what looks like is an agreement between the administration and the Qataris to not release that $6 billion. The timing right now would be absolutely terrible, and we should still be doing everything we can to try to get the Americans that are being held hostage in Iran and bring them home.
Last question to you, and I appreciate your time as always, Congressman, and that is, Republicans have been sharply critical of President Biden's decision last month to release that $6 billion. In your view, was that a mistake in policy?
I was never really a big fan of them getting the $6 billion. Again, I mentioned to you earlier that that a lot of Iranians, more and more it seems, each day, are standing up to the regime there, and giving them another $6 billion would be a way for them to use that in order to quell a lot of the people there that are really upset at the way and fed up, quite frankly, with the way that the theocracy runs things in that country. And so I'm not a big fan of giving them the money. I know that again that a lot of the voices out there in Washington D.C., both in the Senate and in the House, have really been bipartisan when it comes to this $6 billion, and it makes sense. I was never really, honestly, Jack, that big of a fan of giving the money to Iran, even before what we saw on Saturday. But now I think that it would be absolutely, it wouldn't make any sense at all to give them that money. It just would only be used for nefarious purposes. And when something else happened, people would immediately point to that $6 billion. And so I think it would be a mistake, particularly when it comes to the administration, to let that money be handed over at this time.
Congressman Marc Veasey of Fort Worth, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jack.